Hi, colleagues. This is Ruby Blow of Development Counts. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our current unfortunate and challenging circumstance of having to make decisions about how to manage during this pandemic. Hi, Granville, it's good to see you. Hey, Shirley. Hi, it's good to see you guys. So I live in the state of Georgia, and as many of you know, I'm a licensed professional counselor. Most of my practice at this time is supervision and consultation and training. And I'm about to send out an email to my supervisees advising them that regardless of what the governor in Georgia here is saying, I'm advising them against going back into the office to practice business as usual if they can help it. Now, some people are working in settings, inpatient hospital settings, for example, where maybe they're doing what they can to practice safely, but they someone has to be there to attend to the patients. But if you're working in private practice, in particular, even people who are working in settings where they are doing community mental health, they are working from home right now, and they are protecting themselves and their clients. And so I just happened to notice a dialogue on one of the professional listservs where a colleague was saying that she's going to start going back into the office, that she's consulted with an infectious disease doctor. Was considering whether or not she should be wearing masks in session, how that would interfere with the therapeutic process of being able to see someone's expressions. And then there were several replies. One colleague saying, hey, I know of some therapists who are on ventilators. I know of a therapist who's died, who continued seeing clients in their practice long after they should have. And she was essentially advising against going back into the office next week. And then another colleague chimed in and said, hey, don't judge anyone who decides to go back to their therapy office. I'm sure they're going to do what they can to stay safe. And it made me think about, judgment. I think that people who are therapists should be trying to practice as good a judgment as possible. I mean, I think that's just a good life goal. Hi, Pauline. Hi, Tanya. I think it's a good life goal to try to practice as good judgment as you can. And in particular, if someone is paying you to be their therapist and to exercise good judgment, I think there really is an onus on you to practice good judgment. So I know a lot of people think this is a political thing, a political topic. This is a global pandemic. This is a health matter. As far as I'm concerned, it has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with morals, and it has to do with ethics. And quite honestly, if you make a decision to see clients in person when you don't have to, I really question your judgment. I question whether or not you actually care about yourself and your well-being. And I question whether or not you truly care about your clients. I don't even know if some people are doing it just because they need the money, because a lot of therapists are still seeing their clients at a distance. And even if you are doing it for the money, are you saying that you care more about money than you care about your life and the life of people that you're serving? If you are supposed to be helping people who are potentially suicidal, for example, what value are you placing on their life and your life? Do you really value life? Now, I think that it's really important that you be clear that if you're doing things to put yourself and others at risk, that's going to reflect on your professional reputation. And not only that, if you survive it, you might hurt other people. And I really just don't see how you could be okay with that. So even though as therapists, we're trained to reduce judgment and to not judge others, we also need to have effective judgment. We need to at times think about what someone else is doing and discern, do I agree with that? Do I agree that with that based on that, ethics and morals? If you cannot, in good conscience, put other people truly before yourself, I would argue that you really probably should not be practicing. And I know that's a bold statement, but if you can't tell that during a global pandemic, if you have the opportunity to see people at home, that you should do that for the sake of yourself and others and for the community at large, you're just selfish. And I was about to say I feel bad for calling names, but I think that's the nicest name I could say, is that you're being selfish. So my advice would be exercise good judgment. Do not go and see people in person, and unless you are already working like at an inpatient unit in a hospital where people are there and need that level of support. I have been working from home for almost a year and a half because, as many of you know, I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer technically at the end of 2018. I know a lot of people have ideas about what it means to be a cancer patient. I'm not going to go all into my diagnosis and treatment right now, but to suffice it to say, I am at risk, and I take it personal that people who are at less risk than me would go out here and hog up resources unnecessarily because you can't tolerate like putting the public good ahead of yourself. I'm very, very concerned at the judgment of some of my colleagues. I know a lot of you are doing the right thing. A lot of you are dealing with the challenges that are presented with moving to telehealth rapidly, with trying to work from home where your kids are at home or your spouse or partner, or maybe you're at home by yourself and you're trying to adjust to what that's like. I get it. No one is saying that's easy, but I don't think any of us have a right to put people who are depending upon us at risk because you, I guess, want to believe that you're invincible. None of us are invincible. And maybe you don't value your life, and that's fine. But I don't think that gives you a right to put other people at risk. And I think that's what you're doing if you rush out to go sit in your offices right now and see people face to face, whether you're going to wear gloves and a mask and wipe down surfaces. There are people who are suited up in hospitals head to toe who are still catching this virus. And so I think it is just the audacity to think that you can be safely practicing in your office and that to not recognize that you could be asymptomatic carrier, or that someone in your office could be asymptomatic, and they're depending on you to have good judgment. So anyway, I think I've said enough about this. I wanted to come on live just to talk to colleagues in response to what's happening here in the state of Georgia, where our governor has pretty much opened. I think if you're opening up barbershops and bowling alleys and nail shops, everyone who is a therapist is thinking, well, heck, if they're going back to work, then I should be able to go back to work. And I understand that logic, but I don't agree that it's safe. And it's not just me. It's pretty much the CDC and anyone of any epidemiologist and public health official in this country is telling us that. And if you think you're above that, if you think that you know better, you're just wrong. And not only are you wrong, I think that you're unethical and you're really coming from a place of privilege. And I will also add that if you are serving people who are at greater risk if they catch this virus, then shame on you for being willing to put them at risk. A lot of people are saying hi to me. I feel like it's weird to switch gears and go into the hellos, but I am glad to see all of you. I'm glad to see colleagues. I'm glad to see family. I appreciate you guys joining this live. I did put in the title that I was talking about something professional so you guys would know what the topic was. Some of you have said, or at least one person said, you look good. Thank you. I know you guys have probably only seen me in still pictures unless you've seen me in person or at a workshop like the one I did last Friday. I will be offering some workshops again soon. Yeah, so Crystal says, I'm even considering going back to my office until mid-May. Yeah, I think we need to see what the public health officials who are specialized in this, I think we need to see what they're saying. Quite honestly, I think ideally we need to wait until we have rapid tests. We need to be able to know if we're testing positive or negative. We need to know if the people around us are. Ideally, we need vaccines. And we need policies. We need to be checking temperatures. There's so many, there's no plan of how to keep people safe. And so even if you are planning to go back at some point, you need to be going back with a plan. And I actually don't think that you need to be going back into your offices until we are getting that cue from public health officials and until we are getting guidance. And so my cousin, who is a beautician, she's saying she's not opening her salon until it's safe, right? And that makes sense. And also, too, from a liability point of view, I know a lot of you guys care about liability. I'm not saying I don't, but I care about doing the right thing first, and then usually liability risks take care of themselves. So I think whether you're thinking about going back next week, if you should not, or mid-May, or whenever, based on when we actually get the cue from public health officials, you should be looking for, is there a practice, is there a standard that we should be meeting? And that's not there right now. And even the medical professionals are asking us to stay away. Let's see, continuing telehealth until it's safe, right? So Nicole says she's continuing that. Yeah, so I'm glad to see a lot of you are planning to continue to do telehealth. I would like for everyone to be safe. I would like for people who need to go in for surgeries and chemotherapy and whatever kind of services they need, that the hospitals stop being glutted with everyone who has COVID. We can only do that if we continue to try to flatten the curve. And we're not even there yet in Georgia. And so please, please, please exercise good judgment. Please take care of yourself by, exercising boundaries and good judgment. It's not worth the life of the life of your clients. Like I said, a colleague was just sharing that she knows a couple of therapists who wound up in ventilators in the hospital, who continued practicing long after they should have gone home. At least one person, I think she indicated, that had died. Like, that's so unnecessary, and it's sad. And if we don't believe that we can set limits and have boundaries, how can we say that we believe that for our clients? I think it would show us to be, not who we say we are. If you can't set a limit, if you can't show restraint, then I think you really should consider doing something else for a living. Point blank, period. Okay. Yeah, I think we should wait to go back when public health officials start telling us that. Now, I know some people are feeling like they need to get back to work because of the economy. And what I have to say about that is basically a lot of people are going back to work and they're not going to have enough people to serve, because if people don't feel safe, there is no improvement. And that's quite plain. So I'm gonna hop off, you guys. I appreciate you joining me. Yeah, I do think clients appreciate you not rushing back. I think clients respect us for making firm decisions. I hope you can do that and continue to do the right thing in face of what might feel like pressure. And I hope everybody continues to take care of themselves. I'm gonna be at home for the foreseeable future, long until they have vaccines for this. And I hope those of you who are medically fragile in any way do the same thing and don't feel pressured to go back to wherever, go back to the office. You're so welcome, Tanya. I'll see you soon. Thank you, Katrina. It's good to see you. All right, take care, you guys. Bye.